Hello there, I'm Leo, and welcome to a special episode of Rediscovering Ashina, the series where I play through Sekiro and retranslate it and talk about the cultural influence from Japanese folklore and mythology that went into the game and that was kind of glossed over by a lot of the English translation. This time I want to do something special. After the feedback from a good friend of mine on the series, I want to try a different editing style, where basically instead of having the separation between the analysis and the gameplay, so that with the gameplay first and the analysis at the end, I instead edit in my translations and my considerations when we encounter things during gameplay, and at the end I will just kind of tie everything up and add stuff that did not fit within the general things that we encounter. For example, correction for mistakes that I did in previous episodes or expansions, in which I will have a couple, because for now my one greatest fan entirely from YouTube, Eric Gondo, which is quickly becoming one of my personal heroes, has gave me some more insights on the things I talked about in the last episodes, and so I wanted to include that at the end. So with that said, I hope that you will have noticed by now this is probably the shortest video that I've made, because I don't plan on going too far ahead. I want to try out this different editing style before I fully commit to it and see how I find it. So last we left off, we had just taken the new... Oh, by the way, I think you can open the antique map, and yeah, we can see the Hirata estate there on fire. So yeah, we took the two ninja prosthetic, the Shinobi prosthetic that we found, we turned them into proper Shinobi prosthetics, so we got the axe and the flamethrower, and now we can finally advance. And where I'm going to stop this episode is I will find the three-tiered pagoda that our friend the looter mentioned, and get to it and see what's there, and then we'll stop. And the three-tiered pagoda is the one that we see on top of there, if the bandit allows me. That's our objective. We need to go up there, which is much closer to us than we can really suspect from this distance, but yeah. So this episode, while I get through the areas that we already covered, this episode, the actual length of this episode is going to depend heavily on how well I played, and this is something I could say for most episodes, of course, but this one is going to be specifically more like that, and you'll see why in a second. But what worries me, ouch, is that it's been a while since I played, and it's been a very long day. Ooh. And therefore, yeah, you can see I'm really not confident in my abilities to play well. When I went through this area in my pre-recorded run-through to see what I can expect, I actually managed it pretty well, but even then, it was quite harsh. So we'll see how well I fare now. I hope I will not completely disgrace myself. So this is where we stopped last time, and if you remember, I stopped... Oh, here are the hydrangea flowers, there is the friend the looter, and again, from here I think we should be able to see the three-tiered pagoda if I manage to go up here. Last time, as I was saying, I stopped because there were a kind of enemies that I did not want to tackle without the axe already installed. I cannot see the pagoda from here specifically, which is a shame. But yeah, we'll get there. The enemies that I didn't want to face without the axe were those up there, which, as we will see more once I get close, have shields. Okay, you shut up, and I can show off this, which is the new ability that we got. Oh, okay. Oh god, shield guys. Yeah, let me get rid of these people before I attack the shield guys, otherwise it's going to be much harsher. I love how dumb they are, that they don't notice me when I'm fighting right next to them. See, my timing is completely off. I really hope I will be able to do a good job. So, Shin guys. These guys are really annoying on their own, because as you can see, the shield is really hard and they react to me attacking immediately. And that, even though it's just a shield bash does a lot of damage. There are ways to handle them, like if I can trick them into attacking me, I can break down their guard pretty easily. I say, while not succeeding at it. He's an annoying bastard. But yeah, like, they're really hard, so that you need to trick them and kind of circle them and wait for them to open up to hit them. Or you can do this. And suddenly they're really not that much of a threat. So yeah, this is why I wanted to wait for the axe, because I wasn't confident in my ability of actually taking them down effectively. Now here in front of us there are some things. We can see a field of hydrangea flowers, and we can see the river down here. Now, as we learned last time, water is not an obstacle, water is a friend. Which means that these rivers are just more places to explore. We can go back there by jumping on there, and we can just explore what's in here. Something aggroed me, and yeah, it's a fish. There are fishes in the river, aggressive fishes. I couldn't show that one very well, but I will come back to these fishes in later episodes. But for now I can definitely say that these are wild carps. They were the jewel carps and that we found last time. Well, no, you didn't actually see them except for my special recording, because I was dumb and I forgot to record that properly. There is another one. And those were nishikigoi, so they were like the colored pretty carps, and these are wild carps, which are the exact same species, but they're not as pretty because they didn't go through the process of breeding that produced them. And if we jump here, we can get up here. And the significance of getting up here now is... I cannot explain well, and I will not explore here in this episode, for reasons that will be clear in the next episode. But yeah, let me just say that that part of the map is very important. And it's quite remarkable from a level design perspective that we can get here so early as a reward for jumping into the river and exploring, because it's truly an interesting map design. But I will be able to talk about that once we get to that area and understand why it's relevant. So I hope you remember this little section. Nothing else on this river, except for this little discovery that, yeah, going into rivers open up unexpected parts. And if I can jump down up there, we can see from up here that there is a person there, dressed in white with a lance. There is a sentinel over there. There is another guy, which I can tell you from this distance is an archer. A big field of more hydrangea. And two people just hanging out over there. And also there is this little section here, which I forgot to explore during my pre-recording. So I don't actually remember what's in here, if there is anything special here. I don't think there is anything exceptional except for that part there, that... Yeah, we'll... Again, I know where that path leads, and it's a one-way road from there. Like, it's a way to get from wherever that is to here. So, yeah, I don't think there is anything interesting for here now, and we'll get to that part again, I think, in the next... No, definitely in the next episode, what I'm talking about. Here the things that we can hang on are these fish. I do not know if I'll have anything interesting to say about this fish, but just in case. Hi everyone, this is my first ever in-depth interjection within one of these videos, so I'm very excited, and I will need to ask for your patience because later I will say stuff like Oh, this is where I'm going to place the clip, and then I won't, because I'm placing the clip here. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to best structure this, so be patient until I do. So, the fish-shaped roof tile that we see here is a Shachihoko, a legendary fish with the head of a tiger that was said to be able to swallow incredible quantities of water and to call rain and storms. They were very popular rooftop decorations for castles, gates, and samurai residences, used as a form of auspice for rain and good luck charms against fire, which, as I mentioned in the previous video, was very dangerous in ancient Japanese architecture, which heavily utilized wood and paper. They are thought of being inspired by Shibi, which were ornamental decoration popular between the 500 and 700 AD that, like many things, the Japanese imported from Chinese culture. And this is where I will cut in a new editing style to show off if I found anything. So if I'm not cutting here, then I didn't find anything. And let's tackle this area with a lot of enemies, shall we? Let's see if I cannot target that guy from here. So let me be sneaky. So the sentinel there is dangerous because it has a really good eyesight for obvious reason. So I hope he will not just immediately aggro me. And him as well. Yeah, that guy is special and I really don't want to deal with him before I killed off the rest of them. So let me change my order a second and yeah. There goes the archer. No one noticed that. This should allow me to kill this guy without too much problem. Perfect, nobody noticed anything. And here I can jump here and disappear into this. They're called bushes. I think there is a more specific term. And take out this guy, the axe, and hopefully, yes, perfect. Ah, yes. Shinobi Hunter Enshin of Misen, and a little tutorial on how to counter thrust attack, which is pretty redundant considering how much tutorials I did on this last time. Ooh, immediately dead. Okay, let's see if I can do this properly. So this is one of the reasons why, if I don't play well, this episode is going to last more than I would like it to. Even though he's already pretty confused, poor guy. So, I could have taken him from the back as well. I could have taken down one of the... I think he's got a shuriken stuck in his head, poor guy. Oh, come on, me. So, I could have taken it by surprise, but I didn't want to. Because instead, I'd like to face him head on and get my timing back. Oh, the tracking on that move is horrendous. I always underestimate it and I need to get away and heal. Oh, come on. Yeah, exactly. I really apologize. This was really bad on my part and I got him first try when I was trying this area for the first time, so yes. If I end up taking too much time, I might just accelerate this part, because watching me fail repeatedly while I get my timing back. Oh yeah, well, good tutorial on what I lose upon death. There are no means to escape this, so experience towards next skill point and current sending hanger halve upon death. Everything lost is gone for good. There are no means to escape this loss, however through the grace of the gods or Buddha it might not be impossible. Yep, so all that experience, a lot of that experience is gone. And it's interesting because the skill points that we get, those remain. It's just the progression towards the next skill point that is gone for good. Can we get any other... Yeah, you know what, I will get the grappling hook attack because it's a good basics to have and it allows me to not go through this description for this episode. So let me just spend that and let's run back there. So as I was saying, the way that death works in this game, or at least the penalties for dying, is mostly that you lose half of your money and half of the experience that you had accumulated towards the next skill points. You don't lose skill points, but you lose the progression, which is an interesting method of doing it. It's definitely an interesting riff on the usual From Software way of doing it. And it works for the game. I missed. And I quite like it as a punishment. There is more to how... I should be less. There it goes. Okay. There is more to dying than just those mechanics, but that's the basic. There is the little mention of the will of the gods and Buddha, for example, which is another little mechanic. Ooh, I'm running out of spirit emblems, so I hope this will be the time. Whoop, one more, one too much, one too many. And let me see if I can repeat the smart way in which I did this last time, but also be able to play decently. Perfect. Hello, confused guy. Okay. Okay. Let me try this again. Let me focus. Oof. Ah. My timing, like, I do the right thing, but I do them slightly late, and the slightly late here is devastating. -1. Ooh, he was doing an attack while his back was turned. That was cool. I'm not sure that it is an attack I ever saw. Ooh, okay. Ooh, I thought there was going to be enough, but this is enough. And a prayer bead for our troubles. Ah. What a tough guy. This was the warrior monk. So, as for this guy's name, a literal translation would be Shinobi Hunter Enshin of Misen Temple. His name, Enshin, is very peculiar because it uses very old-fashioned kanji in a way that I couldn't find use in any other historical or contemporary figure. It literally means round truth, but the kanji for round is not really used in names anymore. I have no idea what the significance of that is, but it is a fact, so if anyone has more information about me or the way that Japanese names work, then please let me know. I will definitely have more to say about him, about his name. I hope, actually. I shouldn't say definitely when I'm not sure. But yeah, this is the moment where I'll talk about it. And let's explore this area a little bit. So there is a hut over here and a gate, which leads me to believe that this is the hut where the gatekeeper used to be. Some pellets, which makes sense next to a guard post to have some extra medicine. I do not know what happened to this guy, to the person who was supposed to be the guard, but it definitely did not meet with a good end, considering what this place is. I do not know exactly what the significance for this Garden of Hydrangea is here, in the same way that I do not know exactly why there was around the previous temple. And here in front of this lamp, we find an Amiibo possession balloon. So another form of worship in front of a Buddhist lamp, which is a Buddhist stone lantern, sorry, which is religiously significant. Here we enter a bamboo thicket with a sculptor's idol which is called the Bamboo Thicket Slope idol. So pretty appropriate. We have one more skill point, so I might want to get some. The next thing, so my logic in getting the skills is that since I want to show the active skills, I will definitely aim for this first more than the more costly passive one, even though these are incredibly important because they increase the power of my medicine. So I don't know what I want to go for next. I think what I want to go for, actually, I think my next objective will be actually to get this passive one, completely ignoring what I just said, because this is way too good to have an increased potency for my medicine, and I will analyze and read the description when we get to that, and then I will get the Nightjar Slash, and then I will think about it. So let's proceed. There is this little tombstone-like thing, well, it's not really a tombstone, but it's Buddhist sculptures around. So these are examples of so-called Dosojin, statues of Buddhist and Shinto deities that were put on roadsides to watch over travelers or placed on the border of liminal spaces such as graveyards, execution grounds, etc., etc. These ones depicts Jizo Bosatsu, which is the same bodhisattva that I talked about in my previous video within the section about the bundle Jizo statue, which, other than being associated with children, is also the protector of travelers and pilgrims. The big one is holding in his right hand a staff which is called a shakujo, which symbolizes guidance and awakening, and a jewel called a honjo tama in his left hand, which symbolizes his bestowal of blessings to those who suffer. The small ones here instead have their hands pressed together in the gasho posture, a mudra that is a symbolic Buddhist hand posture signifying greeting, respect or veneration. So these statues are very common in the game, we're going to see them all across Ashina and even later in the same video. I don't really know about their significance other than just being a presence of the Buddha and Buddhist veneration within these lands, but they are a nice touch at the very least. But yeah, more sculptures around and stone as well. For some reason here we get the sprint tutorial. And here there were more guards there, and there are more guards over here, you can see them chatting. And there is the bridge, and over there it's our objective, it's the pagoda. And that's where we'll stop. So how do you get up there? First, of course, you jump into the river, because that should be the first instinct of anyone trying to explore a new environment, just jump into a current. And Wolf has some incredible muscles to be able to just ignore the currents and the current and float perfectly still. And here we can see that there is a beautiful treasure cup, sorry. The treasure cup, which is the first that you see in high definition. Whoa. Okay, sorry, that was my clock that every half hour an hour chimes, and it's very loud. If it was right now, it was the half hour, so it was just one chime. If it was the full hour, I would have paused the recording because it takes a while. And here there is this little bamboo thicket with an interesting item: contact medicine, powder medicine with poisonous effect used through the ages by Ashina Shinobi. A weak poison status abnormality is inflicted upon consumption. By inflicting a weak poison on oneself, all other forms of poison becomes ineffective. Some shinobi also use this medicine for a specific technique. Poison is said to expand the mind. So the translation for this item is almost entirely correct. I would have personally called it a drug and not a medicine, but that's not like a mistranslation. It's that the same word can be used in both cases, and in this case I could have preferred another way, but that's just a matter of personal preference. There is a big mistake at the end though, in the sense that the last two lines are very complicated and weird in Japanese, and this probably confused the translators as well. In the original text there is no mention of poison expanding the minds. The two last lines are kind of read as one thing that, thanks to my friend Zaj, who knows Japanese much better than me, I kind of sort of translated as something like, some shinobi, adept in the use of poison, make use of the effects of this drug to perform certain techniques. Now, this is a very interesting item, even though not one that I tend to use very much, mainly because it's a fascinating, and yet this is where we need to go next. I will talk more about the contact medicine. Oh, actually, at this point I should have already talked more. But yeah. So, there is this little secret passage over here with spirit emblems around, which implies that people died here, even though there are no corpses or anything. And we have a tutorial for the consecutive wall jump. This little area is very hidden. Come on, it's really not that hard. There you go. This little area is very well hidden, and the first times I went to Ashina, to Hirata, I couldn't find it. I had to go back and re-explore. And there is a reason why it's so hidden, because it's completely optional, and also very, very hard for how short it is. Because you see, up there, up these unused, withered stone steps, is the three-tiered pagoda, and a person up there on the pagoda. And that person is hostile and really, really strong, so I will use the resources I have to face this. Whew, okay. Honestly. Uh-oh. Whew, okay. If that hit me, I could have died. Ow! Yeah, this is what I meant. Ooh, I hope to make you counter that. Jesus Christ. I handled this really well. I'm very proud of myself. That was really scary and dangerous. I didn't even die once. So, scrap iron. Iron Drake's mind in Ashina. Widely used for basic reinforcement, it can serve as a base material for prosthetic tool upgrades. Ashina is burdened with thick snow and infertile land, but the scrap iron dug from her soil is anything but crude. Again, the translation is mostly correct, but with a difference in the final line. Rather than "but the scrapped iron dug from her soil is anything but crude," in Japanese it says something like, "The iron scraps found here are large enough that they can't even be called Ironsand." This is relevant because iron deposits are very rare in Japan, and Ironsand was used for iron forging much more commonly than proper ore like this. So it feels to me that this is not a matter of purity as much as sheer quantity, with Ashina having access to key natural resources that would be greatly coveted by nearby states. Now, who was this guy that gave me a lot of experience and also has within 3000 powder? He was a ninja-like person, definitely, which only used one arm to fight and his legs, his very dangerous legs. Interestingly enough, his other arm, even though I cannot show it from here, is not gone, like he's not a one-armed guy, he's just tied and he doesn't use it. And it's his left arm, which, again, left arms not being used seems to be a pattern, doesn't it? And the fact that he had 3000 powder, considering what we have learned last episode on how 1000 powder was used by troops that were preparing for fire attacks, places him in cahoots with the bandits. And the fact that the looters sent us here might have been to lure us into a trap. Now, we do not know who this guy was and why he was here at this very moment. But yeah, we can definitely surmise what I just said by the clues that we got at this point, which is pretty cool by itself. Inside the 3-tier pagoda, we find an altar with an armor, and in front of it, Mist Raven's feathers. A bundle of Mist Raven feathers can be fitted to the Shinobi prosthetic to create a prosthetic tool. In Uzui Forest far to the north of Ashina live many mysterious birds of prey. The Mist Raven is the only one to have eluded capture by all who have tried. Should you somehow manage it, you'll find it gone, only feathers in your grasp. The translation of both this item and the Shinobi prosthetic that we can make out of it are overall correct, so I'll just add a couple of Japanese tidbits that are not super significant, but, you know, just for completeness sake. First, Uzui is a name which is made out of the kanji for thin and well. And that's it for Uzui Forest for now. While the birds of prey here are specifically impossible to identify or whose real shape is impossible to grasp, rather than simply mysterious. I have no idea why this item is here. I don't even have really a theory of what this place is for, really. I know a little bit of the significance of this item though, and it introduces us to Uzui Forest, and that will be relevant later. But yeah, I don't really have an explanation of why this was here, what if this guy was interested in that, in guarding it, or in taking it, or if it just was like here to survey the operations, because over there is like the main body of Hirata Estate is on fire. And from here we can actually jump down to the a place that we haven't explored yet, and nobody notices us while we're here, which is the place that we're going to explore in the next episode, because this is where I stop. Well, not exactly here. I want to do one last thing. We just got... Ow! What's that? Okay. I just got a new Shinobi prosthetic tool, so I want to fit that before we do anything else. An interesting thing, oh yeah, the guy dropped iron scraps, which are reinforcement material for our prosthetic tools. We'll see more how that works. We might see it now, actually, because that might open up, like, us getting that might open up this menu. I'm not sure. I don't remember if that's the case. Hello, Emma. Nothing new, right? Nope. Mata ne. Hello. Nothing new? Yes. No, it doesn't unlock the upgrade system yet. But we can get the Mist Raven. A prosthetic tool loaded with the feather of a mist raven costs Spirit Emblem to use. When attacked in the assumed stance, disappear like the mist and move away. Once you think you've caught one, all that will remain is feathers. That is the mark of a true mist raven.
ではな、また久しくらいならかしてやろう。
Sorry. So, the Mist Raven is a prosthetic tool that I usually do not use because it, as I was saying, that's how it looks like, and it only activates when you use it to parry attacks, and usually it's cost Spirit Emblems is weird and I just prefer to block things or to Mikiri counter things, so I don't really use it that much. But it is cool, and it tells us about the Uzui Forest, so that's also cool. And I think that is going to be it for this time. The last thing I want to say before I stop the gameplay portion of this extra special little episode is that it's very interesting to me, the description for the scrap iron, because it specifies that Ashina is an infertile land, which, considering that it's the place where you get like trees growing from the rock, I'm not sure that I believe that claim, but I guess what it's trying to say that it's infertile in the sense that it's hard to grow crops here, to like grow plants useful for human life rather than plants life in general, which seems to be very abundant and healthy. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this shorter special episode, and I'll see you the next time. Bye, everyone. Hi, and welcome to the much shorter post-video addendum in a much shorter video overall compared to my standards. I want to add a couple of things that didn't really have a usable space to talk about in the video itself, and also just thank you for reaching this far and for having the patience of going through this little experiment of mine. So, the first thing that I want to talk about are the shield enemies that we find. Shields as warfare equipment were never super popular in Japanese warfare compared to other forms of defensive equipments, mainly armor and polearms, but they also weren't entirely absent. The most common forms of shields are the tate shield and the handheld counterparts, the te-date shields, which were rectangular slabs of reinforced wood made to be propped up and function as movable cover for archers in the case of tate, or carried with a handle to protect infantry against projectiles for te-date. Here the bandits are clearly using a form of te-date, even if I don't think that they were historically usually employed in hand-to-hand fighting like in this game. Tate shields were made redundant during the Sengoku era thanks to introduction of the widespread usage of firearms, so it is no surprise that we never see the Ashina official military use them, but only the much more crudely equipped bandits who are still using bow and arrows rather than rifles. The last two things I want to quickly talk about both came by thanks to the help of Eric Gondo, who I hope is watching this video and I hope he liked it, and he has been a great help and I can never stop thanking him. The first thing is that the mysterious vegetables that we find in the houses of the poor people slaughtered by the bandits in the previous video were very boringly bamboo shoots, which are very common vegetables used in Japanese cuisine, especially that of the time in which the game takes place. And from what I could find, the ones here are of a reasonable size. They might be larger than average, but they're not like supernaturally large as I had theorized, so that little theory of mine just seems to not be founded in the end. The second is that I finally found the text for the dialogue for Harunaga's dialogue, and I can confirm that the translation is correct. I don't have anything more to add, but it is a huge load off my shoulder to be certain of that. And that was it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and I apologize for taking so long to release this. I've been very busy with my PhD, so I don't know when I'll be able to do another one, but in the meantime, I hope you enjoy this, and if you have any comment on this different kind of formats with the addendums inside the video, if you prefer it, then let me know, and I'll see you the next time. Goodbye.